State of California proclamation designating the week of May 9th through the 15th, 2021 as Law Enforcement Officers Week. Whereas from the beginning of this nation, law enforcement officers have played an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms which are guaranteed by the Constitution and in protecting the lives and property of our citizens and the operation of correctional and detention facilities housing millions of prisoners and detainees throughout the nation. And whereas through constant application of new procedures and techniques, such officers are becoming more efficient in their enforcement of our laws and ensuring safety, containment, and control of human beings charged to their care, while sustaining uncompromised regard for their dignity and constitutional rights. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties and responsibilities of their law enforcement agencies and the necessity for cooperating with them in maintaining law and order. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the extraordinary risks and sacrifices the dedicated men and women who have chosen law enforcement as a career face as they safeguard our freedom and security, and the public from the criminals in their custody, while at the same time encouraging such prisoners to develop skills and attitudes that can help them become productive members of a society after their release. And whereas it is fitting and proper that we express our gratitude for the dedicated service and courageous deeds of law enforcement officers and for the contributions they have made to the security and well-being of all of our people. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake formally designates the week of May 9th through 15th, 2021 as Law Enforcement Officers Week in Lake County and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Passed and adopted this 11th day of May, 2021.
Thank you.
So, and I'd just like to add that your entire law enforcement staff and everybody that works in the jail has gone above and beyond this year during the pandemic and everything needed to keep themselves safe, our community safe, everybody in the jail safe, and I'm just really, really grateful. And I learned earlier from Sheriff Martin that Correctional Officers Week was last week, but in Lake County they're considered law enforcement. So I wanted to also give a shout out for the correctional officers.
Definitely, thank you. Sam put a wireless microphone on me. That might have been a mistake. He's going to have to catch me now.
Make sure you take that off before you leave.
Yeah, no kidding. I woke up this morning to news that 2 officers have been shot in San Luis Obispo from San Luis Obispo Police Department. I started my civilian law enforcement career in the county of San Luis Obispo. One of them died, the other one was injured, and the suspect was killed in the shootout. So not a good way to start the day, and not a good start for Law Enforcement Appreciation Week here in the state. This job has been historically tough. In good times, when times were, historically, this has always been a challenging job. It's got long, grueling hours. Half the people, when you get called somewhere, don't want you there. People are not always appreciative when law enforcement shows up. And as of late, with the high-profile shootings that go on, with the calls for police reform, it's an even more challenging time. And I think it's going to continue to be so as years go on. Over the past 10 years, on average, 163 law enforcement officers die every year in the line of duty. That's from car accidents, from shooting deaths, from on-the-job injuries. There's a whole variety of reasons. And on average, there's over 50,000 assaults every year on law enforcement officers in this country. Despite these numbers, there's still a demand for this job. People still flock to this. For a lot of people, it's a calling. And it's a way for people to serve their community. In Lake County, we don't experience a lot of those negative issues with our law enforcement, and a lot of how that has to do with we are the community that we serve. Our deputies work here. For the most part, most of them live in Lake County. They raise their families here. They have children here. They see people that they take enforcement action against. They see people that they help on a daily basis, whether it's in the grocery store, at children's sporting events, at school, and I think that really fosters a sense of community. People may not like what we do, but we strive to treat them with dignity and respect. And even if they don't like what they're doing, in a lot of cases, they still respect us because we've treated them respectfully. We call this home. So this goes out whether you're wearing tan and green, blue, whether you're a police officer, a game warden, a highway patrolman, probation officer, deputy sheriff. As Supervisor Pyska said, a couple years ago, we reclassified our correctional officers to deputy sheriff corrections, and we intentionally include them in Law Enforcement Week. We don't want them to feel like they're separate. They're peace officers, just like the patrol deputies on the street, and their commitment and their service is every bit as important and every bit the same as the patrol deputy. So we do that intentionally. It's not something, it wasn't an oversight. We want to make sure that as one agency, we're the sheriff's office. We're not the jail and the sheriff's office. We're not separate. We're together. And it was an intentional gesture to do that. With that, I want to thank the Board of Supervisors and thank this community. They treat our law enforcement well, and in exchange, our law enforcement likes to treat this community well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.